Hi, welcome to today's Voice of Greatness broadcast. My name is Joel Bryant and I'm your host. And on today's broadcast, I want to take a few moments to speak with you about something that I call the diversion of greatness. Now, this is a pretty simple topic, but one that I think is very important today because of the amount of information that is just simply increasing and multiplying and at an exponential rate. So much so that many people find themselves overwhelmed and overwrought with information. And that is particularly important for those of us who use social media and the internet as portals and platforms to help us process and to promote ourselves as we seek to achieve and realize our dreams and goals. And herein is where the problem lies. There is so much information. There are so many platforms, so many people promoting programs and processes and procedures and so many avenues and so many venues that sometimes we are simply overwhelmed. Think about this. Have you ever got on social media with the intention of just doing 2 or 3 things towards your business? You had a focus, you had an intention, you had an end that you wanted to achieve, but about an hour later, you were all over the internet and you had not even done what you got on the internet to do. But more importantly, you were overwhelmed by the sheer amount of information. That is so crucial. One thing about great people are very discriminating, they're very shrewd, and they're almost narrow-minded in some regards into being able to understand that they cannot take in all the information. They cannot visit all the platforms. They cannot take advantage of every opportunity that's presented on a daily basis. And so what they do, they get online with specific goals, set objectives, and a focus is not to be distracted. And that is so important today because if you're online for any length of time, you're going to get tons of emails from all these marketers telling you, I can help you increase your leads, your likes, your followership, all these things that we all need to improve our business processes. But the important thing is this. Are you being distracted? Are you being diverted? Are you being diluted? Ask yourself that when you get online and when you get off, do you feel energized, empowered, or do you feel overwhelmed and just tired? That is so important. I've made that mistake in my own process. Get online sometimes, and before I know it, I'm seeing all these other things that other people are doing. I'm saying, well, I should do that. I should do that. And before I know it, I haven't done the thing that I've got online to do. And so what I've learned to do is have clear goals, clear objectives, and those things that I find interesting that I want to maybe look into. I send those things to myself in an email, and then I set aside a half a day, and I go through all those emails that I think would be beneficial for what I'm trying to do. But I do not allow myself to get online and be distracted from my own pursuit of greatness by the greatness of other people. Because what happens when you do that, you are trading the reality of greatness for the virtual experience or the vicarious experience. And that's what happens to so many people. We see so many people that claim to have made this amount of money in such a short period of time. We say, hey, let me check that out. And we become scavengers of opportunity, which means we become exploited by opportunists. And that is why you must be shrewd, you must be critical, you must be focused, you must be determined, you must be prudent, you must be perceptive. You must say to yourself, when I get online, this is my purpose for getting online. And resist the temptation through personal discipline to be distracted, to be diverted, and to be diluted. Because if you get online to do what you said you were going to do and then you get off without having it done, guess what? You're going to feel tired. You're going to feel overwhelmed. You're going to feel overworked, and you haven't even worked on the thing that you got online to do. So I want to encourage you today. Don't fall prey to the diversion of greatness. Don't get caught up in the vicarious and the virtual successes of other people. Learn what you can. Mimic what's important. And market what's appropriate to your own particular product, but do not allow yourself to be overwhelmed by all the information, all the data, all the venues and avenues that you can take. Because let me tell you something like this. Let me just say it to you like this. Here's what people want to know. They want to know what is the best way to do something. And I said like this. What is best is determined by my caste. In other words, what's my makeup? There are just certain things that I really am not fitted to do. Certain ways of marketing, they may be beneficial for other people, but they don't fit me. And so what I've learned to do is not to beat myself and berate myself and belittle myself because I can't do it that way. See, I allow my caste to determine what is best. When I say caste, I mean my makeup. What is my constitution? Do I have the self-knowledge to understand those avenues that are compatible with my constitution that I feel like I can do and I can maximize and I can excel in? Warren Buffett says this, the great investor, right? The Wizard of Wall Street says this. One of his key strategies for investing, he says, I don't invest in things that I don't understand. Think about that. How many of us are buying into programs and processes that people sell us and they tell us this will work for you, and you kind of going it kind of blind and you don't really understand what's going on and how to make it work, but you're saying, well, they said. Now, would you invest your money that way? Think about this. Would you invest your money in something that you don't understand how it works? Well, then why would you enroll in a program that really does not fit you? First thing is, if you don't know your caste, you don't know what's best. And see, what works for you may not work for another person and vice versa. And you've got to be okay with that because you're not in a race. This is not a sprint. This is a journey towards greatness. And along the way, we must have the fortitude and the focus to resist distractions and diversions because all they do is dilute us. So when you get online, have a goal. Write it down. Have it beside you. Have it in front of you. What is your goal for getting online? Number 2, put things to the side. If you see things that you want to check into and seem interesting, then email those things to yourself. Bookmark those things and say, you know what, I'm going to get to that later. And number 3, instead of trying to find what is best, pay attention to your caste. What's your makeup? The way you know your makeup, look at your past, look at your passion, and look at your priorities. Those 3 things will help you to understand your makeup. See, without self-knowledge, it's going to be very hard to achieve greatness. And if you do achieve greatness without self-knowledge, guess what? You're going to have a hard time enjoying it because you don't know you. And you'll let greatness tell you who you are instead of you knowing who you are. And that is so important. Great people who have the longevity, who understand and they leave a legacy, they have an intuitive awareness of who they are. They know their caste. I said before in another broadcast about Billy Joel, one of my favorite entertainers. He said that when he was praised about his style of music, he said that my style is a result of my limitations. There are some things that I cannot do. And I want to encourage you today, you have got to be okay with your limitations. See, everybody has limitations. Now, we don't like to talk about that. We like to say that, well, I can do anything and anything is possible. No, there are certain things that only you can do, and anything else, if you try to do all those things, guess what? You're not going to maximize and master your potential. I want to encourage you today. There's a lot of information. Much of it is great and beneficial. But you ask yourself, is this information and the process that I have to use to maximize this program, is it compatible to my constitution? Not is it best, but does it fit my caste? Because if it doesn't fit your caste, guess what? You're not going to follow through. You're not going to see it through to the end. You're going to start, but you won't stay with it. And that is what happens to most people. They begin the journey towards greatness without adequate self-knowledge. And it's okay. We learn who we are in the process. But if you don't have the attitude of knowing yourself, and you're going to wait to greatness to tell you who you are, guess what? You're going to be deprived and defrauded of something essential. I want to encourage you today. This is a great time to be alive. This is a great time to dream and to do. The internet has created all kinds of opportunities for everybody, no matter where you come from. You can get there from here. But to get there, you have got to maintain your focus. Don't settle for a vicarious or a virtual success. Don't get caught up and lost in other people's stories and say, wow. It's okay to do that for a while, but you have to go online with a purpose and a focus. Not being distracted, not being diluted, not being diverted. Because when those things happen, guess what? You end up getting discouraged because you didn't pursue and follow through on what you said. And there's nothing worse than falling out with yourself because you did not follow through for yourself on what was your highest interest. So be encouraged today. You and I are on our way to a place called greatness. Do you realize that this age is hungry for real greatness? Not this transitory, evanescent popularity that people have, but I mean sustainable greatness that leaves a legacy and creates a standard that becomes a landmark and a benchmark for other people to follow. And if you and I commit ourselves to that kind of long-term success, I call it transcendent thinking. If we commit ourselves to that, then we will not only enjoy the journey towards greatness, we'll have the requisite self-knowledge that allows us to take everything in stride, but never close to heart, because we are keenly in touch with our humanity. This has been the Voice of Greatness broadcast. My name is Joel Bryant. Until next time, have a greatness week, because you can.